Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Procrastination is such an ironic thing, yet it's a very deep-rooted struggle amongst all of us. Procrastination is when you postpone something that you know you have to do, even though you know it's gonna make it worse for you later on in the future. It's gonna be more stressful, it's gonna be more problematic, but we just push it to later. We know very well that this will happen, but we do it anyways. What we've got to realize from this is the source of why we procrastinate, and understand what is the root cause behind why this is happening. And we've touched upon this briefly, but I'm gonna come up with a general theme for all of us. You probably can relate to the scenario where you have a very important task to do. It's very stressful. It brings up a lot of negative and anxious emotions. So automatically you turn to procrastinate and do other things that are not as important, or waste time, or spend time on your phone, or do whatever. And then while you're doing that, after some time, you start realizing, oh, I'm procrastinating again and I've got this very important thing to do. And you end up feeling guilty and ashamed. Oh man, here I am procrastinating again. What a loser, what a failure. I can't believe I wasted these 2 hours. They were so important for me to work on that assignment instead. Oh man, I am ashamed of my behavior. Why do I keep doing this over and over again? And those bring up so much more negative emotions. You get further discouraged. You beat yourself further down. You're going to be even more deterred away from that stressful task. And what happens? You end up procrastinating even more. The very same thing that has caused you to feel all this guilt and shame is the very same thing you're going to use to escape further and further into it. You just know, oh, I'm wasting time. I'm so guilty and ashamed, and you keep doing it. You keep watching that movie, or spending more time on your phone, or distracting yourself by however. Why do we keep doing this? It's so frustrating. But if you think about it, when do we stop procrastinating? We usually stop when the stress of not doing the things that we're supposed to do becomes so exceedingly high that it exceeds the amount of stress that we have around the things that we want to do. Example, the assignment is due next week. We're stressed about it, so we procrastinate. The assignment now is due in 4 days. We're more stressed that we haven't done it, but it's okay. We keep distracting ourselves. But then the assignment is due tomorrow. Oh my goodness. The stress from not having done that, and the consequences, of I'll get a bad mark and I'll get kicked out of school. That stress is so much worse than dealing with the stress of actually starting the assignment. And that's when we stop procrastinating. So you realize that the theme here is we are creatures of comfort. We want to be comfortable. The stress of starting that assignment or that project or that task is very uncomfortable, so we seek the closest comfort, which might be watching movies, or spending time on social media, or just calling friends, or playing video games. It could even be other productive, lower priority tasks that give us short-term comfort, like let me do my laundry or clean the dishes. We're just seeking that instantaneous comfort and running away from that stress. Of course, we've always tried brute forcing it. I'll force ourselves to do the task that we're supposed to do and push through that discomfort. But we keep failing and failing and failing, so obviously brute force doesn't work. Just get it done doesn't work, is not enough to make us stop procrastinating. We know we're procrastinating and we still keep doing it. So once we realize that it's comfort that we're really after, we can use that against procrastination itself. How you say, if that task is very uncomfortable, what can you do to make it more comfortable? It could be the way you rephrase that task. Instead of telling yourself, I need to finish this report, how about tell yourself instead, I'm gonna work for 10 minutes on that report instead. You see, the hardest part and the most stressful thing is to actually start. So the key is to find any way to convince ourselves, to make it very easy for ourselves to just get started. I mean, even if we can't get ourselves to start by saying, let's just work on this report or this assignment for 10 minutes, it could be even as simple as, let me just sit down on the work computer or in my desk, and let me just start the laptop and just open up the Word document or open up my assignment. That's all. I don't have to do anything else. Make it so simple and so easy and so comfortable that it doesn't bring up all the stress. And what you will realize, and what you probably realized before, that we usually make a big deal of the task and the assignment that we have, and we stress about it for weeks and weeks on end. But it ends up taking us only half an hour or an hour to finish when we spent the whole week to stress on it. You know, or we spend a month stressing on it when it takes us just a couple of days to finish. So you realize when you start something, you get into a natural flow. You start breaking down this big problem and big task into smaller problems, and it ends up being a lot simpler than what you initially thought. So realizing that the biggest barrier to finishing our things is starting, and starting is the hardest and most uncomfortable thing, and because it's so uncomfortable, we seek to find comfort through procrastination. The key is to make the starting point very easy and comfortable, to the point that we have no excuse not to start it, and that way trick ourselves into getting into this natural flow. I'm just gonna work for 10 minutes, but maybe when you start on that task, it just becomes easier, and you find yourself, I can spend 30 more minutes, I can spend an hour, I'm getting closer here, it's not as bad as I thought. And so once you realize that comfort is what's stopping you, and making starting easier by making it more comfortable, we can break the vicious cycle of procrastination.